adorable, and yeah, and so you liked him for quite a while. You get a piece of your heart after time. And then there was Nicholas, and he went to your church, and you hadn't noticed him before, but then a girl pointed him out to you that he was looking at you, and you hadn't had a crush in quite a while, so because he was looking at you, he liked you, so maybe you should like him so you can like each other. That would be a good idea, so you liked him for a while. But then you met Andrew, and yeah, he was just perfect in every way, and you really liked him, and he was just adorable. And then it got to the word where it was hot. He was hot, as you turned about 13. So now he's hot, and he was hot for a while, so you stopped liking him. And then there was Daniel, and Daniel was your cousin's best friend. You saw him at your cousin's house a couple of times, and you really liked him. He liked everything you were into, or you liked everything he was into, whatever way it went. And yeah, so he was just perfect for you, and you liked him for a couple of weeks. And then there was Tyler, and yeah, he was hot too, and he was the first guy that actually asked you out. So yeah, that's a big one. And your dad said that you could go out with him, and you did. And that was the first guy you held hands with, and you had just this major crush on him. You were going to marry him, you just knew it. Until you met Brandon, and then Brandon, well, we all got to talk about Brandon. And he was one of those guys you couldn't have because he was dating already, but he was still really cute, and you knew someday he would like you, because you was just all of a sudden going to look over, and you were going to be right there. And he was going to like you, so you secretly liked him for a couple of years. And then there was Joseph. You were getting older, and you thought, you seriously could feel that God was saying that Joseph was going to be your husband. And so you kind of kept an eye on him for quite a while, but in that eye-keeping, you developed a very heavy crush on him, an emotional affair, and you gave him a big piece of your heart. And then there was Zachary. And Zachary was your brother's friend for the time, and he was just really hot, and stuff like that. And you didn't have any other guys, so you thought you might as well like him. Obviously, that was the best guy in your group at that time, so obviously you could marry him. So yeah, you liked him. And then there was David. And David was that emotional type that was just so sensitive and sweet and romantic, and you really fell for that, and that was just so sweet until you realized that he couldn't keep a job. It might not have worked, so then David introduced you to John, because David wanted you to stop stalking him. So John. And John was hot at the time, and so you liked him until you met James. And then James, okay, by that time, okay, you're 20, okay? Let's just say you're 20. And obviously you're not going to get married, because you're 20 and you're not married yet. And so then you see James walk in the door of your church. He's like, perfect, that one. And so you go up to him and start talking to him. You realize he likes football. So all of a sudden, yeah, I like football, and all this stuff, and it just goes on and on and on until you finally convince him that he is going to be your future husband. And so he goes, oh, okay, and then you nag him into proposing for you, and you finally get married to him, and you give him this tiny little piece that you have left. No, he didn't know he was gypped at the time. But 5 years later, when he asked you what you're having for dinner and you snap, that's when he knew he was gypped. You only have one tiny little piece of your heart left to give your groom, who might have waited faithfully for you. Or he could be giving you exactly what you gave him, almost nothing. We can do the same thing with our relationship with God in many ways, by putting a lot of other things before him in our heart. Make it so we have a lot less to love God with. The boys around us and how we should treat them. Brothers. The boys we spend the most time around are our brothers, and we need to be sensitive to the way we are displaying the characteristics and the way that a Christian girl should behave, especially to younger brothers who will be looking up to that. To teenage brothers, we need to be careful about what we are exposing them to. Yes, sometimes when you're watching TV and you have the power to do so, change the commercial when there's an immodestly dressed girl on the TV. I mean, I usually look down when there's some half-dressed guy on the TV. I'll just look down. But I can imagine the lust factor for our brothers in Victoria's Secret commercials is much worse. So when you have the devices to change the channel. Also the girls that we bring around them. Yeah, it's nice to witness to other girls and to introduce them to Jesus and have them around, but do we really need to have them around our house? I mean, those girls usually, we can't hold them up to the same standards we hold other Christians do. So no, she's not going to be dressed very appropriately, and yes, she's going to be used to flirting. So our brothers, who have been in a same home with us, homeschooled, sheltered, are really going to fall for that, because she's aggressive just like the world is. So we need to be very careful about the girls we bring around our brothers. Well, what about the boys around us that we are related to? In the Bible it says, 1 Timothy 5:2, treat older women as your mothers and treat the younger women with all purity as you would your own sisters. We need to treat the boys in our churches and other activities in the same way you would want your mom to treat her friends' husbands, with completely no intentions of romance and absolute purity. That's the way you need to approach the boys around you. Because who knows, the boy you have a crush on now or have been flirting with is probably not your husband. And how would his wife feel with you taking pieces of his heart? Or how would your husband feel when he comes back and you gave him part of your heart away? Or let's put it this way, would you like other girls taking pieces of your husband's heart? No, you wouldn't like that. We have responsibilities to the boys around us. Every girl has a desire deep down to walk into the room and every guy's jaw drops. We have a desire to be the most pretty girl in the room and the one girl every guy wants to date. Those are not desires from God. Those are desires that are put in us from the world, saying that no one will love you if you aren't absolutely beautiful. As if God made a nationality called beautiful people. God designed women to be feminine and actually look like women. Thus, that is what is attractive to men. When you get attention from guys when you're wearing a low-cut shirt, tight jeans, and makeup, you're getting attention from guys that are easily strayed. And they won't stop straying once you marry them. We all should want a good Christian man who wants us to be keepers of the home, a mother to his children. And those guys are looking for character above everything. Their top priority for a wife is not that she weigh 98 pounds and be a knockout blonde. But if you're a woman of character, your husband will be way more lucky than any guy who marries a model. Once you get to know someone's character, they start looking a whole lot prettier. In fact, if you are looking for one of these men of God, wearing immodest clothing or wearing a lot of makeup will actually hinder your chances of getting one. The Revolution Modesty Survey. The Revolution.com was created by Brett and Alex Harris that were teenagers, and they wrote a book called Do Hard Things. And so they made the Revolution, and for Valentine's Day one year, they wanted to bless all of us girls by letting us ask questions about modesty and having all our peers, guys, answer them. So like, is it a stumbling block when we do this or that, or just to let us know kind of what they're feeling about that. And there are cards in the back that say the web address for that. So one of the questions from the modesty survey was, how do you feel about girls who purposely flaunt their bodies? This was what a 17-year-old homeschool guy said. If a girl flaunts herself, it changes everything about the way I think about her. To start with, I automatically assume she's not a Christian, or is not taking her walk with God seriously. I might even try witnessing to her. If she is a Christian, I will probably tell her that she's being a distraction, much more gently, of course. If you flaunt yourself, you get the attention of a lot of guys, but you instantly lose their respect and admiration. I would never consider marrying a girl that advertises her body like a product. Another question was, if you could say anything to your sisters in Christ about modesty, what would it be? A 16-year-old boy said this: it means so much. It's not just that we respect you more, there's even an attraction to girls who dress modestly. I don't want to marry someone who is dressed immodestly all the time. I want to marry someone who I've noticed dressing modestly and has a concern for modesty. Don't ever think it goes unnoticed. Guys notice and guys are grateful. The boys we think we know. How many of us have ever thought a famous guy was cute, hot, handsome, etc.? And even though that is wrong, seeing that is someone else's husband, and that you would be lusting, which is a sin, but sometimes girls go even farther than that. We turn our celeb crush into a pure idol. What is an idol? Well, an idol is pretty much anything you put before God in your life. But the dictionary said an idol is one that is adored, often blindly or excessively, sometimes something visible but without substance. So how do we make a celeb into an idol? We go see all the movies that he's in, even if the movies aren't that good, and go same with music. We find every picture of him online and put him on our phone, on our computer, on our walls for future viewing. We have posters of them in our rooms and lust after them each time we walk into the door. We have a blind infatuation for him, and we think about him all the time. Ladies, this is not innocent. This is idolatry. Leviticus 19:4 says, Do not turn to idols or make metal gods for yourself. I am the Lord your God.